And so that's another one that I think was going to go up. But what they're using is solar also in that concept. But if you go, it's south of Las Vegas, when between Los Angeles and Vegas, you drive down there, you'll see this huge whole bunch of mirrors, and they're pointing to the crystal that glows in the dark. Even in the nighttime, it's still glowing.
Hmm.
And it's the same way, like kind of thing, concept what you're saying. And I'm sorry to interrupt. I shut up.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know about that one in particular, right? But I mean, that sounds kind of like the same thing. Solar's just improving so incredibly fast. And they're even talking about, and I think one of the reasons why they want to put data centers in space, this is like a new concept that basically like everyone's talking about now. All the guys like that are building data centers are talking about launching satellites that do this, right? I think a big part of it is because you get so much energy from the sun when you're out in space, you know? So yeah, so and then they asked him about nuclear, right? He's like, well, what do you think about nuclear? And he's like, what are you equated to? He's like, you're trying to like make like little grains of sand like turn into like fusion. He's like, they asked him about fusion, right? He's like, why are you trying to build a fusion reactor that's going to be like this little tiny thing when you have this giant ball of fusion out in space that you can just capture it from, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I thought it was a very interesting discussion. So just on that topic of energy, Elon Musk at least seems to believe that solar is the way to go.
I,
Right.
I'm I'm with him on that, but the reality is you gotta always bet on greed. And if it's something that everybody can get, they're gonna try not to limit it. That makes sense? To limit. They
Yeah,
try
I'm
to
sure it's
create
not going
quite
to
a
be
bit.
one thing only, right?
Yeah,
Because
no, I know, but I'm
yeah,
just the reason I say that is because honestly, if you watch the battle with oil and the efficiency of gas and stuff, there has been so many inventions stuff that's done to like make gas way more efficient. Just with fumes,
hmm
that you get like 280 gallons, 280 miles on a gallon or something like that, you know? And it's just been brought down. And that's why I always had the philosophy like if 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 a small group of people that can control it, they will. Anything that's like universal such as sun, they won't go that well that much. And I'm for it. I'm all like, let's go for the sun, but I know the truth of the fact for all this time, they just always bet on greed. Always
well,
bet on.
well, I don't think that's what it is, right? Because you still have to get the solar panels, right? So whoever makes the solar panels is the one that would win that one, right? Because it's the
Right, but I'm just
efficiency of
saying,
solar panels and how do you do that? And then can you launch them into space as well, right? Because you lose a lot of energy from the sun because of the atmosphere, right? So like who can build these like satellites that collect energy, like stuff like that, right? Um, but I mean, that being said, Elon Musk is still using natural gas to power his data center because they just can't build the electric grid fast enough. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
yeah.
So, like, I wouldn't at all discount oil and gas. Like, I think that like society would stop working if we got rid of those today, right? Um, but yeah, just like in terms of like the future stuff, like when he was asked about like the nuclear versus solar, it sounded like a pretty compelling argument. I think it's worth a listen, you know?
Well,
Mhm.
I'll just tell you from my first account right now, because I worked at 3 data centers and the power juice is just phenomenal to
Hmm.
keep up with it. And they are building another here in Utah. Then the plans of building another reactor, a small mini reactor to power those data centers. And I mean, nuclear is very efficient, but I mean,
Hmm.
it's not as close to efficient what the sun is, you know,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying, it's in the works.
Yeah.
I see it
Yeah.
I
first.
mean, the problem with solar is that if it's cloudy, you're screwed, right? And so you need to have a battery or
Yep.
something backup. Of course, you don't have it at night, so you need, some way to get past the, um, you know, through the evening. But
Yeah.
the thing about the data centers in space, which I have some experience with trying to send stuff up there, but
Hmm.
the problem is that, um, you have radiation up there, and there's all these cosmic rays. You don't have the atmosphere, um, shielding you, and it wreaks havoc with with electronics. And I don't know what they're um, like the processors that they use, are old, and they can't use the really small, the nanometer, uh, chips because because you get just too you just get too many errors. So unless they can somehow shield it, which shielding is hard. So I don't know. I just don't you know I don't get it.
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know enough about the topic.
Yeah.
I know this is your wheelhouse, is what you do, right?
Well, I
Um,
did. But not
yeah.
now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure someone's been thinking of that, right? Like
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
much they thought it through, I don't know, right? But
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, well, I've never seen it addressed. So, but
Mm.
yeah, so it doesn't. Uh, I don't know. It just seems crazy to be honest.
Definitely a crazy idea, that's for sure. Definitely a crazy idea. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess the radiation would mess with the chips in space, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you get all these, I mean, it comes in and it knocks, it'll give you errors in your memory and it'll give you, just screws everything up. So you
It's
have to have like
interesting.
redundancy and, all the error checking is just fundamental,
So
so.
how does like the space center work or like spaceships? Like how does all that work?
Well, they, like I said, they use, I mean, there are the chips that they use are old, kind of old,
Okay, because
old
those are
technology.
less prone to the
Yeah,
problems.
they're less prone, and then you have to do. I mean, like, well, I mean, I know the shuttle had like five different computers all running simultaneously, and they would, you know, if they would basically vote, right? And so if
Huh.
two of them gave the wrong answer, you go with the other, right? So that's how you have to have redundancy.
That's very interesting. Hmm.
Yeah, I
Never knew
mean,
about all that.
I don't know what's going on now, but that's what, that's the only way I can imagine, uh, you know, uh,
Yeah, you don't think they could put some sort of shield around it or something? You don't think that's
well, you
possible?
can, but it's heavy. It
Yeah.
costs like a lot of money to launch anything, and lead, which is the best, the best one that you could use is not exactly light, right? So,
Well, that's the other thing that he was talking about in this the same Elon Musk podcast with him. He was talking about that most people don't realize how cheap it's become to launch stuff into space.
oh,
Um, it's gone down like really cheap. How much does it cost
But
to launch into space? Because SpaceX has really brought down the cost a lot.
yeah,
yeah, but they
right.
got that other company what they use centrifugal force. It's I think Rocket Labs. They spin the thing all around real fast and they launch it up there. It looks really cool how they do it. That one's cheaper too because they don't use no fuel for it. Well, they use fuel, but not as much. Could use a
Yeah, I
lot,
mean,
quite a bit of centrifugal force.
Yeah, that makes
right. It's
sense.
a
I've seen that before.
catapult,
Yeah,
right?
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it definitely looks very cool. Yeah, small satellites about $5,000 per kilogram.
Hmm. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know how much lead weighs and all that. I'm assuming this is not going to be cheap. But then again, data centers they're spending trillions of dollars anyways, right? So it's not like they have a lack of money, right?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I don't know what the math works out to. There's I'm sure people a lot smarter than me thinking this stuff through.
Yeah, but then also you have you can't run a fiber up there, right? So it's you've got to get the data, up and back.